Hello, accountability buddies. This is Les with another episode of Less is More Healthy, coming at you from my car ride home. And just wanted to have a little bit of a conversation about changed plans. Because my plans for today changed. My plans for this week changed. The last several days have been all about changing my plans. So let's start with the larger change plans. I had planned on riding my bike to work every day this week, and I've not ridden my bike to work once. Not once. Not even a single bike ride at all this week. I went for one walk, and it was a short walk. Um, and then yeah, nothing. I was planning on doing a walk today, but I'm not because I feel like crap. And so that's going to bring me to my topic of conversation for today, the thing that I want to talk about. And I'm just going to give a content warning here for those of you who don't want to hear about menstruation, menstrual health, women's health, periods, and all of that, because that's what I'm going to talk about today. So just this video is not for you if that is something you can't handle or don't want to talk about or don't want to hear about, rather. But again, part of what I do on this channel is I talk about the shit no one else talks about. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal menstrual history here. None of this is intended to be medical advice. Maybe it will help you talk to your doctor about things to get medical advice. Sorry, words are hard for me in the afternoon. So I think the idea or my thought process here is um, so my history is I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome in my mid 20s. And back then, 20 over 20 years 25 20 20 years ago, almost 25 years ago. Over 20 years ago, they basically put you on birth control for it to help control the hormones. And my symptoms of horrible periods, so my horrible periods were heavy bleeding. They lasted 7 days or more. Also, incredibly painful cramps. The kind of cramps that would double you over in pain. And I'm not a pain wussy. I'm not a wimp when it comes to pain. I'm pretty, pretty sturdy when it comes to like dealing with pain. So, yeah, I went to my doctor. She suspected either endometriosis or polycystic ovarian syndrome. She leaned more heavily towards PCOS, given my symptoms, and gave me that as a diagnosis. So she put me on birth control in the hopes that it would control the hormone fluctuations that were impacting my mood. And it worked. I am someone for whom um, the androgen blocking pill that I was on, the birth control, um, worked. I had very few side effects. I might have gained a little bit of weight, but other than that, the side effects, I don't know that I had any. The intended um, response was that I had shorter, lighter periods with less cramping, and I had that. It basically going on birth control and androgen blocking birth control improved my life drastically. It just made life better. So after that, the birth control that I was on was linked to a lot of side effects for a lot of women. I was in the minority of people who had really good effects from it. So um, that was discontinued. And I went off birth control for a while. And for a while, it was fine. Um, I'd been on it at that point for 5, 6 years. Um, when I went off it for the first time, I was pretty much fine. I didn't, my periods were still shorter, lighter, and not as crampy. And after 6 months or so, the symptoms started to come back. And then they got really bad again, the way that they had been in my teens and 20s. So I went back to my doctor. I had a different doctor. She prescribed me a different but similar birth control. And again, positive response, hardly any side effects, possibly gaining a little weight, but not a lot. Um, and I was on that birth control until my very late 30s. And when I hit my very late 30s, I went into my doctor's office, and my doctor was like, I can't believe you're still on this medication. You are too old to be on birth control, which I've got other friends who've been on birth control who are still on birth control in their 40s. I don't know. Basically, she convinced me to go off the birth control by refusing to prescribe it. And so she refused to prescribe it, but also said that at this point I might not need it anymore because I was at an age that my hormones would have changed enough to not need the birth control. She also said she couldn't find in my chart where I'd ever been diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I told her, it was with a previous doctor when this was a different practice, blah, blah, blah. And she kind of acted like I was making it up. Like, how many women make up stuff to be on birth control? Anyway, um, there's a reason why I'm not a huge fan of doctors. And so at that point I went off birth control, and she was right to a point. My periods were lighter, I didn't have as much cramping, and I just generally felt fine. um, I'd have occasional bad periods where I had, heavy bleeding and bad cramps, but nothing like every period like I had when I was younger. And now pretty consistently, so it's been about 10 years since I've been off birth control. Pretty consistently, my periods have been very heavy, with intense cramping again, also with hormone fluctuation. And I don't know if this is related to my being healthier and fitter and weight loss. Because I am still, I'm a little heavier than I was when I was first diagnosed with PCOS. PCOS does have, like, one of the things that does occur with it is weight gain. Um, so I don't know if I'm gaining some symptoms due to the PCOS, if that's coming back. But I've pretty consistently noticed a couple of things. Pretty much like every other period, since I've started losing weight and I've become healthier and fitter, um, has been really bad. I've had some really intense hormone fluctuations that have uh, led to some pretty rough mood days mentally. I've also um, noticed some really intense cramping, um, just general, like, sleeplessness has always been something I've had associated with my period. I've always had some sort of hormonal insomnia. Um, and that's always continued even when I was on the pill. But that has increased as well. Add to that, really intense cramping, really heavy bleeding. My periods are longer, and more intense. So those are problems. And I decided, I'm not going to go for a walk today because, um, honestly, my flow is so heavy that I'm afraid I'm going to bleed through my pad. So, um, I use a couple of different products at the same time, and I have to wear a pad, to go along with that. And I know this is TMI, but also, like, this is part of keeping it real on this channel, is like talking about menstrual health. Like, the cramps are just super bad, and what I really want to do now is go home, put the heating pad on my stomach, and watch TV. The idea of exercising um, when might bleed through is not an appealing thing. When I was younger, I used to bleed through so regularly that when I would have my period, I would bring a spare pair of jeans to keep in my closet, in my locker. So I am not really keen on re-experiencing bleeding through my my pad and my underwear, my jeans. I don't. It's not necessary, and I can just go home and relax. And have ready access to the bathroom when I need it. So yeah, so that is where I'm at right now. Um, I don't know, was that too much? I think that might have been too much. But anyway, I thank you for watching and tuning in, all the support and everything. And hopefully, in a couple of days, I will feel better. Um, but thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.